The Finance Committee meeting was scheduled by the agenda to have a meeting at 6:30 to go over some things that Paul and Renee and maybe some others have brought to our attention. So I'd like to open this meeting. And what I'd like to do is just, did everybody have a copy of the agenda? Did you get a copy of it, everybody? We can just go through these things. I need a motion to approve the minutes. Dave, thank you. Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Done.
Aye.
We should have somebody, Richard, you're taking notes, I'm sure? Very good, thank you. New position proposal, and I'm sure that's Paul.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
What I'd like to present is a proposal for a new position at the middle school. If you read through here, I'll just kind of go through what's written up. With the current situation, middle school throughout the entire year, there's an increased use within the middle school building throughout the entire year, as well as the athletic fields and grounds. And the lack of an additional facility staff has led to an increased load on the staff itself to maintain the overall maintenance and operation of the middle school. If you go down to the next paragraph, I lay out basically the size of the middle school, the fields, the grounds. But the key points are during the summer, particularly this past summer, and the one before that, and I see this trend continuing. The building is in use 3/4 full from the end of school through the end of July into the first week in August, through summer school, mosaic programs, special ed programs, and some different summer camp. Most recently this past summer was the Green Mountain Youth Orchestra had their summer camp up here at the middle school. So in addition, so those are areas that we can't get in to do our normal annual cleaning that we would do during the summer, but it also requires daily cleanings, preventive maintenance, and so forth. My staff incurred 305 hours of overtime total from June 29th through September 6th, as we're getting the bill turned around, which is about 36 hours per week per person. Now during the fall and the spring seasons, there's only one groundskeeper here at the middle school, and it typically requires, on average, up to 20 hours per week during the peak growing seasons from the maintenance staff from inside the building or custodial staff. They'll go outside to help augment him during the work. Then, of course, during the winter season, the snow removal and ice removal through. The proposal itself would be hire one full-time custodian to act in a utility capacity at the middle school for the remainder of 2018 or 19 season. That would work, 2018 and 19 school year, that would work a mid-shift from 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. during the school year, and during normal day hours during the summertime as we go forward. The position's daily duties would include assisting the groundskeeper, filling in for custodians during the absences, and overall improving the operation and maintenance of the middle school. For financial impact, if we were to hire someone on in January, in that first line, the total cost would be the $24,445 that I think I'd be able to source I know I'd be able to source within the 2018 current budget without overspending the budget and just readjusting some priorities. If we went into it, then from there out, I'd build it into the new budget as we build through. The total cost would be, as you see there, $57,363.39. That's the salary benefits that's put into place. I'd just like to submit this for consideration.
Just a couple of questions. In terms of where this individual would start, he would be a Group 1 employee of the ESP?
Most likely it would be posted within, it'd be a Group 1. And more likely, I'd see how I'd post it internally first. It would be a lateral shift, then it'd be a higher potential.
Are you looking for somebody with any particular skills? In other words, are we looking
both preferably groundskeeper and custodial.
Okay, somebody
experience in those.
Somebody that would do that. And one other question: in terms of the extra hours that are put in, how many of those hours would you estimate are due to absences of the staff?
I don't have that right now, but I could look that up.
Well, is it a significant number?
It is. I mean, if you just take just normal vacation for the staff, I think I told that up based on everyone's experience. I want to say the number was, say, 160 days total among the entire staff.
That's an entire staff of?
9
okay.
here. So So that'd be, if someone's out taking the week vacation, then the rest of the staff is making up,
Okay.
that works somewhere else.
And does Darlene support all this?
Yes. Yes, she does.
Yeah, very good.
Question,
Yeah,
would hiring this person cut down the overtime that you,
Potentially. I mean, it would, yes,
So-
in certain areas.
you could probably deduct some of that and make this look better?
Yes, I mean, it could be, I'd have to look at hours and figure some of that in, but yes, that could be, I mean, it wouldn't be an exact
Yeah,
type thing, Dave, just based on, was it overtime due to someone being out, someone covering extra hours, or was it overtime because it was an event that was being covered, that's all. I'd have to look at, just make sure it was an apples to apples type of thing.
the financial decisions you are proposing here are based on this year's salary schedule.
Correct.
Of course, we will be getting into a next year's salary schedule as of the 1st of July. So, I'm not saying that it's going to be a terrific difference, but there will be increases.
A little bit more increase.
There will be increases, but you're also making an assumption that, he's going to have or she is going to have a full family plan and health insurance.
Right, this is based on.
Yeah, and so you're taking the worst case scenario,
Correct.
really, as you're
Correct.
going through this.
Just to make sure we're covered.
Well,
in place.
Yeah,
Just-
with max. It's a
This was
max
maxed,
stat,
right, yeah, this was maxed. But it doesn't take into consideration any increases that we will anticipate through the negotiation process, because of course we can't do that. But Rob's going to be sure that that's taken care of. I personally feel, I'm a very supportive person of keeping the buildings in top shape and having them look well. And, I think Paul's done a good job, and I would, bring it to the board with a recommendation to institute this as soon as practical. If anybody would object to
I'll
that.
second that motion.
I just have a question for Paul, just in terms of what we're looking at here. We shouldn't be looking at this as it's going to offset the overtime that you put in there. We really should be looking at this as in addition.
Correct.
At this point, although it might have some offset.
It will definitely offset from like that period I said when it was summers.
Yeah.
But it would offset
Yeah.
some of the remainder through the year, which I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I did run a calculation of what a full year is overtime, and I can bring that back if I could see it offsetting some of that. More of it would just be the flexibility, but also during any extended absence period, and that's where a lot of overtime is also incurred. If someone's out for an extended medical or a longer vacation,
Yeah.
that would definitely
I
offset.
don't necessarily need to know the numbers. I just want to, how I'm going to look at it is,
Okay.
this is additional money that's going to be done,
Yeah.
although there might be something less.
Correct.
Yes, any comments over there from Woodford?
I don't know, I'm in the snow.
Well, that,
My only thing I'm thinking about is that if there's a lateral change, or somebody internally is taking this position, they would be getting more than the rate in here,
Potentially.
1442. But the new person would not probably be in Mount Anthony or
Correct.
in the middle school, so somebody else could be a savings, but we would end up paying more.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
That is-
and
that's
I'm
valid.
sure you do this, Paul, and if the board approves it, I would encourage you to take your time and find somebody that you think is going to be very reliable, rather than just to fill the position for the sake of filling it.
Correct.
Very good, we can move on then.
Thank you.
All in favor, sorry, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Good. Project update?
Thank you. I just wanted to run through a few of the key things that are on near-term horizon. First off, as for the capital projects, we deferred a roof project that had been built into this year's budget for sake of some of the other priorities going on. Part of that decision, of course, was the roof was not in an imminent failure state, does need to be replaced, but it wasn't something that had to be done immediately. With that reallocation of funds, some of the things that have been taken care of have been was unexpected was the middle school electric primary line that had to be repaired. That was one portion that had been the roof funds. Middle school parking lot upgrades, hopefully you notice it's a little bit brighter out there as we start coming in at night anymore. The big chunk of it will be earmarked for a phone system upgrade at the high school. That has not started yet. And then potentially 5 more exterior fob doors and electronic locks at the high school. So just wanted to kind of encapsulate, that decision had been made on deferring the roof, but that's where some of that funding it's being spent.
Paul, are we all set for our wood burning furnaces?
Yeah. Well,
Do we
middle
have a-
school, middle school's set, ready online. High school, we just have some preventive maintenance stuff to finish up, and then they'll be online.
Do we have a contract for purchasing chips, or do we do it, get them as we need them and shop for the best price?
We've been using service with Gagnon Lumber for the last 6 years, I believe.
Okay.
I'll double check that. I have priced them out. Their prices were competitive,
Okay.
but they're also their service and what they've been able to deliver, and the service has been part of that decision.
Okay, very good. And the
Question on this phone upgrade, is a real person going to be answering the phone still?
I believe so. Instead of like system.
I call a lot of schools and you get recordings and it's a pain in the butt. It's nice to call and talk to a real person.
I agree.
As I would understand, it would still be a real person.
Yes, as far as I
There's
know,
not a plan
one of the issues with the phone system is we aren't able to backtrack with numbers that call.
Yeah.
So if someone calls the school and say it's an emergency or they're looking for someone and they get disconnected, we can't trace back the numbers. That we just had a situation like that a few days ago where we were trying to get a number if someone called, and we don't have that capability. But yes, there would be somebody answering the phone.
Some other projects I just want to cover over. The high school emergency generator, which is original equipment, that has a major mechanical issue within the motor itself. Recommendation is we'll replace that with a new generator, which will be a self-contained unit with its own fuel system, similar to like what's at the middle school, but much smaller. It doesn't need to be the same size. And that's something that I'm working forward. I've received 2 proposals on equipment. I need to continue on that, get the 3rd one. And we'll see.
I don't remember seeing that in the budget. Was it in?
No, this is, because this has failed out, but this will be covered within the operation and maintenance,
Okay.
26,
And
21.
when we run those, do we run them on diesel or gas? Or when we-
Diesel.
Diesel.
Or, well, correct, number 2 fuel oil.
Oh, number 2 fuel oil.
Yeah.
Okay.
The new one that would be put in place would be diesel.
Okay, well, keep us informed. And do we, I remember over different years, we've purchased salt or used the town's facilities to store salt. Is all that still in shape, or are we still doing that?
We will have salt storage. It'll either be shared on
Orchard Road.
Bowen Road,
Or
the new
both.
facility, or it'll still be on Orchard Road. We're working with the town now.
Oh, okay, just keep us
Renee's
informed.
helping out with something like that.
All right. Any questions of Paul on any of that?
Okay, another one, just cover real quick. At the high school, from the safety committee, a planning and design committee has been formulated for a high school main entrance and main office redesign. This planning committee has met twice now and, pinned down what we think are the key functions and design requirements that would be needed in each space. And the key part of this is the improvements are going to improve the overall safety, security, and the operations and functions of the high school main office and main entrance. Where we're at in the process is still the initial stages of the committee. Did engage with Centerline Architects with what we had for working requirements, or design functions and requirements, to help us put together a feasibility assessment and also what would be a rough order of magnitude of costs. All that to go forward to be able to put into next year's budget to build as a major capital project improvement. So,
You're not talking about the courtyard, you're talking about the actual...
no, the actual doors, entrance, and then main office, but it could be changing a little bit of how that is, but not directly impacting on the footprint into the courtyard.
It isn't working now, Steve, the way it is?
The situation now is when someone gets buzzed in, they don't come in contact with someone or are able to sign in until they're already in the building. So theoretically, someone can get buzzed in, come into the building, and go the opposite direction and disappear into the school. So one of the recommendations is to move the check-in point from inside the building to, they come into a sort of airlock area between the two front doors.
So it's a security issue?
Yes.
Would be the main thing?
Security is part of it, then,
Okay.
don't mean to
Well,
speak for Steve, but I say also the main office functions itself. Like another example would be the security team, where they are right now. They don't have a good
Yeah.
soundproof area where,
I understand.
you know, you don't have an area where you have a good reception area for visitors coming into the main office, so.
Does
it's all part of that.
anybody have any other questions for Paul?
The doors that sometimes stay open, is that part of the, you know, how when it's warm or something, that door doesn't close? Is that part of the?
We would be looking for replacement. And if we're going through the entire redesign, it'd be putting what's functional and replacing it.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Are there any other questions? Anything with the middle school that
No, middle school's great.
No wish list whatsoever.
I mean, the biggest one would be the sound system is still on within the capital projects. One proposal's been received on
But
that.
there's no, you know, other things that we've been talking about, either maintenance or security systems or whatever else it would be, except for the new
I mean, part of it would be, and also the high school with the security grants, the lockdown initiating systems.
Okay.
What I was going to say is I have one complete proposal for high school and middle school. I had a second request to a vendor, but they were unable to fill a proposal. I'm waiting for the third one, then we'll be ready to make a decision and move forward on those. More like, I think we're still on track though for potentially executing that in February break or worst case April break.
All right, very good. We can move on then. If there are no other questions. We have a slight time constraint tonight. So
Yeah, and
let's see.
actually, this isn't really a proposal for the solar. It was more of, I just wanted to ask the committee if a solar proposal is something that the committee might want to entertain. We have been contacted by Green Lantern Solar, they're a Vermont-based company, actively pursuing trying to get net metering arrangements set up with some of our schools. Knowing that both the middle school and high school were participating in the curtailable load program, which is saving us substantial money, we weren't sure if joining a net metering arrangement would actually kind of disqualify us from that, if it wouldn't be allowed anymore, or if we would be changing service providers. We've confirmed that that's not the case, at least with this company anyway. But I just wasn't sure what the consensus might be
We've been through this before.
with the hydro.
Yes, well, the hydro, but also with the solar.
Okay.
We were having a consortium that was going to put their plan somewhere, we were all going to save all sorts of money. You know, personally, I have no problem with taking another look at it, but I certainly don't want to jump into something until we've really taken a good look at it.
We're also getting an advisory from our attorney. Renee's working on that,
Okay.
looking at the agreements that have already been proposed to some of the elementary districts.
Okay.
Yeah, so right now, this company is looking at an array on a former landfill in Pownell on Maple Grove Road. And based on the capacity that they're anticipating the output is going to be, they won't have enough to actually take on all of our elementary schools.
I see.
Knowing how the middle school and high school use electricity, it would be probably quite some time before they would have another array available.
Okay.
So again, I just kind of wanted to get a feel if it's something that the board would want to entertain. If not, you know, we don't need to go there, but if so, then
I just wait and see what happens with the elementary schools.
Okay.
And then we'll follow through from there. Anybody else want to?
Where's the company out of? Just asking.
They are a Vermont-based company.
Vermont,
They
okay.
are not doing any arrays outside of the state thus far, so they think they've been here for,
Out of Brattleboro.
yeah, definitely a Vermont-based company.
Okay, we can go on. Cat TV, I spoke with Renee about this matter, and she would like to get into the history a little bit before we actually get into a discussion on it. And I suggested that she get in touch with Nathan, who had been a board member for a number of years, as well as very active in the Cat TV organization, to see if she can get a little history and what's happening and that before we get into it. If that's agreeable to everybody, I think that's the way to go. Are there any other issues that should be brought before the Finance Committee?
You mentioned the step thing.
No, thank you, Leon. Leon has for a long time been concerned about the steps going down to the lower playing field at the middle school. There are some steps at the beginning, and about halfway down, I guess it's very slippery, going down there. Paul, could you look into that and report back to us on it? This isn't the first time it's been mentioned, thanks for letting me know.
Right, and the siding is just, it's going down. It's the gate that's open there that allow the people to see that it's an open gate, and they think it's okay to go down the side at that area, and that's when there's nothing but grass there and the slippery side of the wall. So we either got to close the gate or put some steps or something there. And the last item was that fourth soccer field. My understanding is that thing needs to be looked at in terms of being able to continuously use it. For some reason, it's not really usable, and it hadn't been too much usability in it this year because of the wetness of it. So what we did was we did something for the football field, we did something for the field hockey and the softball. So we need to look at that field. If we got it, we need to make sure we upgrade it. So that needs to be added to a list somewhere.
Good. Well, Paul, maybe you can get back to us on those two things, and we can see. That's a big deal, I'm sure. Are there any other issues to be brought before the Finance Committee? If not, then we'll adjourn until 7 o'clock. Very good. Motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Everybody said aye already.